Greetings, my fellow Americans. This is your President Samuel Ronan speaking, and today is Recap Thursday. So, welcome to another week of World War III, the worst timeline, sociopathy, craziness, the rise of fascism, and God knows what else. So, welcome to the stream. Welcome. We are, ready and willing to discuss the topics that we missed as the stream shows up there in the header. The main things we're going to cover today are the lynchings. Well, I shouldn't say it's the main things, but those are the first things we're going to cover, is the lynchings that have been occurring ever since Charlie's death in response to and retaliation against the, not show of support for a white supremacist's death. And there is a little bit of a cheekiness that we're going to start doing, I believe, for the channel, which is what you see right there. President of Antifa. Yours truly. So, now that Antifa is declared a terrorist organization by this terror regime in the White House, I figured, fuck it. If that's the game we're going to play, if anti-fascism is now terrorism, then I am the president of anti-fascism. Call me a terrorist. Yep, 100%. Because we already fought 2 world wars over this. The Second World War being definitive, that fascism is bad and wrong. And throughout the world, we are seeing that democracies are crushing fascism hand over fist. Now, fascism is also on the rise, and democracy is also struggling to keep it at bay. But with Brazil in sentencing Bolsonaro to 27 years for crimes against democracy, we can be very certain that democracies can thwart fascist attempts, fascist coups, and fascist dictators. So, President of Antifa, yours truly. We got our official Antifa regalia, the Medicare for All beret. Welcome to the stream, Anna. And correct. Capitalists and fascists go hand in hand. So, of course, my throat's already a problem. I don't talk that much throughout the day, which I think is the problem. And we only do 3 streams a week. So, whatever strength I'm gaining from talking and building up my vocal cords gets healed or thrown away in the 4 days between now and Tuesday. So, I do apologize, but one day we will have this thing figured out. Now, I think we'll just go ahead and stick with this for today. President of Antifa, President of the United States. I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of another. But yeah, in case people are wondering when they see this, we're not going to change the name to President of Antifa because we'll probably get banned by Twitch. But I don't know. We might get banned anyway by Twitch for simply putting Antifa on our, what is this, background? Is that what these are called? Templates? Streaming templates? Either which way. We have a lot to discuss and a lot to cover and a lot that has happened. So without further ado, we are going to start off with the most tragic stories, which is that these, we're having modern day lynchings.
Okay, real quick before...
I was going to say, why the fuck would I have to sign in to watch this video?
It gets crazy. I usually don't do this on my page, but I'm going to do it today because I'm finna say a lot of stuff. I need y'all to stay with me, okay? Bear with me for just a quick second. A student was found lynched at Delta State University today, hanging from a tree in 2025, okay? The student's name was Trey Reed. He was 21 years old. He's from Grenada, Mississippi. I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. When I was about 7, 8 years old, we moved to Mississippi. And both of my older brothers graduated from Delta State University. I'm being the youngest, when they went to work at a certain store, I ended up getting a job there too. It was going to be easy for me to follow the name there, right? When I went to school, high school in that area, it was easy for them to pick up on the name. They already knew who I was before I got there, right? When it came to college, something was telling me to go to a HBCU. Proud graduate of Alcorn State University, okay? And before the news gets crazy, because it's gonna get crazy, right? They already reported that the boy committed,
See, and I again, the only reason why I'm even interrupting her is because this gets copyright struck on YouTube if I don't. So I'll just interrupt here quickly. But the point that is being made, that she is about to be making, and I just want to really emphasize to people that do not understand this, or the history of lynchings, or the fact that black people, if they are ever going to commit suicide, it will not be by hanging themselves, and most certainly not by hanging themselves from a tree. Why? Because historically, that's what the KKK, the Slave Patrol, and yes, slave owners would do to slaves, or escaped slaves, or even freed slaves, to send a fucking message to every other slave that is still in existence or that is trying to escape the South. Lynchings, and specifically hangings from a tree, were always meant to send a message. There is no black person in America that would ever hang themselves from a tree. Most people wouldn't even hang themselves for a tree, let alone a black person whose history in this country would unequivocally state that any sort of incident involving a tree, hanging, and a black person is anything less than a message to other black people. And this poor woman, a black woman from Mississippi, not born, but raised in Mississippi, is now having to deal with this in modern times and is sharing her truth, her part of the story. But for the context that some of you may not know, it has historically been a hate crime.
Self-unalivement. I don't know how y'all want to say it so I don't get flagged. They already said that, right? And they said the boy's body was found near the pickleball courts or something like that. Feel free to fact check me however y'all want to. Be clear, they're going to try to tarnish his reputation. Be clear, they're going to say that he was a thug or he ran with the wrong crowd. Be clear, okay? They're going to slander this boy. And thoughts and prayers is not enough, okay? Thoughts and prayers is not enough. Now, while I am thinking of and praying for his family, his friends, the loved ones that are close to him, I'm also deeply, deeply disturbed at how closely this hits to my literal home. I'm deeply disturbed, and you should be too.
And that's literally the point. The point that she is making right now is the fact that this should disturb everyone. Not just some people, not just black people, but white people and everyone else. Because if they start normalizing lynchings right after they canonized a white supremacist, the leader of the Hitler Youth, but in America, if they have already started targeting talk shows and comedians who didn't bow down to our great leader and his favorite YouTuber, if this shit is already accelerating, I can assure you that this lynching, these two lynchings, because there's another one that we're going to be talking about, these two lynchings are going to be the beginning of an even more horrific trend. This is literally, if the police can frame this, and it's blowing up nationally, if they can frame this as suicide, you're going to see a lot more suicides in the form of lynchings, much like during the Jim Crow era and the Reconstruction era as well, post-Civil War. So I want you to also understand that there are lynchings happening in the South, while the secret police is terrorizing every single major city in America, and the military is extrajudicially murdering people across the globe, and our own National Guard is patrolling the streets of America. Like, if you are not anti that, then you are a good German. You absolutely would have supported Hitler, and you would have been a card-carrying member of the Nazi Party. Like, I'm not even sorry. That's the facts. If you can see how rapidly we have digressed in just 8 months from this inauguration, from this terrorist regime entering into power, if you cannot see the erosion of our democracy, the final nail in the coffin of our crumbling democracy and rights, and the struggle of the Constitution to stay strong in the face of that erosion, if you cannot see that, then you 100% would have been a Nazi. You 100% would have turned a blind eye to your Jewish neighbors being picked up by the secret police and shipped off to God knows where. You would have turned a blind eye to the transgender folks that were shipped off, the homeless that were shipped off and murdered. You would have been unequivocally the good Germans. And the worst thing is, this is being broadcast in 4K 24/7 on social media, on the mainstream news. We have creators that are going out of their way to convey to you that this is not normal, this is not okay, and that there is a history of this being bad. And if your reaction to Kirk, to this lynching, to Tyler Robinson, to ICE rounding up and targeting immigrants, the fact that South Korea canceled their investment due to the secret police terrorizing their citizens, if you cannot see that this administration, this terrorist regime, is targeting free speech, that it is targeting dissent, that it is targeting people that are anti-fascism, then congrats to your privilege, I guess, because I don't really know what else to say. You are the scum that has allowed this shit to transpire, and it is your complacency and ignorance, or willing ignorance and willing complacency, that is allowing this fascism to get its claws deeper and deeper into our country and our society. And it is going to take a whole lot of, well, unironically, flames to restore our country and our society to something resembling a democracy. So, carrying on, because evidently this poor lady still has more to say.
Okay. What is going on? It's 2025. What is going on? We were really trying to turn a corner here in America. We were trying, and then it was like y'all just snatched us right on back. Okay, y'all, we were slowly but surely trying to get away from the ugly racist history, right? Because remember, y'all had said racism didn't exist no more. That's what y'all had said, and by y'all I mean whites. Okay, because excuse me, black people, we don't think that, right? We understand that racism still exists, and so help me make sense of this. Help me make sense of this. Help me make sense of this.
Quite frankly, there is nothing to make sense out of. That's the whole point. Whoops, sorry. That is literally the point. That is literally the fucking problem. Lynching people at any point in time in our nation's history, especially post-Civil War, post the Civil Rights Act of 1968, lynching people after that should not exist. Should never have happened ever again. But instead, it is accelerating. Instead, there are lynchings every single year. Instead, people want to continue to claim, oh, racism doesn't exist, I have black coworkers. Or racism doesn't exist, black people can get married to white people. Oh, racism doesn't exist, black people can own property. Okay, so why is it then? And see, I don't even know if it's more appropriate to be cheeky with the president of Antifa, or if I should actually be the 48th president right here when I'm saying these things. I really don't know which is more appropriate, because both feel like I am screaming at the top of my lungs into the void. We have legal segregation in America. We have redlining in America to this very day. If a black person with a 600 credit score and a white person with a 600 credit score apply for the same loan, the black person will have a higher interest rate 100% of the time. 100% of the time. That black person trying to sell a home will always be devalued compared to their white counterparts. And I'm not just saying this. There have been multiple stories of multiple black families taking all of their pictures out of the home and replacing it with their white friends, and all of a sudden their property value jumps up 6 figures. The DEI was put in place. What was it called before? Quotas and racial quotas. Like, that was what it was prior, right? And then it was DEI, and then it was this, and then it was the other, right? So the reason why those laws exist is because our country has been so white supremacized that the institutions and capitalist and infrastructure and this, that, and the other that have been put in place have been rewarding white mediocrity for so long that it prevented even the most qualified people of color from getting even entry-level positions because of white supremacy, because of that racial bias. So DEI had to come into play in some form or fashion to ensure that there was no racial discrimination. But here's the problem with that. If most of your HR is female-dominated and white-dominated, i.e. Karen, then if Karen is looking at the resumes and sees Jamal versus John, who do you think the racist Karen's gonna pick? John. Okay, so now we get rid of names on the resume. Now we base it off of addresses. Okay, well, this person was in this part of town, which is predominantly black, and this person is in this part of town, which is predominantly white. Racial discrimination still occurs. And if you think I'm lying, please fact check me, because I know I'm right. Because it's not just anecdotal evidence. It happens every single time. Ask anybody with colored skin that isn't this color. Skin color that is not this. What it is like for them applying for a job using their real last name, their real first name. And then if it's a phone interview, that they have to change their voice. And that once they arrive in person, they get treated infinitely different because the interviewer is expecting a white person, and then they see a Latina, or they see a black man, or they see a Hindu person, or they see an Arabic person. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, sorry, yeah, actually, this position is filled. White supremacy is the foundation, the cornerstone of every industry and every institution, private and government, in this country. And I wouldn't even say that the exception is the military. Yes, there have been black generals, black secretaries of the Air Force and Navy and Army and Marines, and yet every single year, there's still that glass ceiling that's broken. The first black female, the first African American, the first Asian, the first female Asian, the first whatever, to command this, to be promoted to that, to be a part of this, to do this thing, even in the military. So no, although the military might be the most inclusive institution in our country, it's barely more inclusive than every other institution. It's like the military, the military and everything else. The military and everything else. Not even here, just the military and everything else. And that's the fucking problem. And anybody who wants to claim otherwise are the same motherfuckers who are saying that Charlie Kirk was a moderate and that his words were taken out of context. So you know what? If you think he's a moderate and his words are taken out of context, I challenge you to play his podcasts, his speeches, his rhetoric out loud on your phone, on speakerphone in front of HR, in front of your boss, and see if you keep your job. I fucking challenge you. Because guess what? You can play Mr. Rogers 24/7, 365, and he will never, ever get you fired. Bob Ross, same thing. Now I can't remember his name now that I'm trying to say it. The gentleman who was emceeing Reading Rainbow. You could quote him till the end of time, and you will never end up in any sort of trouble. But you do Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, you do, Alex Jones? Fuck, if you quote the President of the United States of America, without the context that it was from the President, if you just quote his words without any other context, you will get fired. Period. Done. End of story. That is the evidence that these people are harmful to society. But the second you start associating their names, oh, wait, no, they're not the problem after all. It's you, Antifa. It's all you leftists. It's all of this shit. So take your pick. Take your pick. Do you want to defend white supremacy? Do you want to defend the crumbling institutions of our nation and the erosion of our Constitution, our rights, and our liberties? Or do you want to fight back? I want to fight back. LeVar Burton, thank you. Yes, that's who I was trying to think of, and it just left. The look on their faces when I walked in after they saw my ex-husband's Scandinavian last name on my resume. Yeah, no, and you were one of the examples I was trying to give, but you're right. It happens to significantly more than just you. Go to HR at your job and say that you walk into rooms and grab women by the pussy. Like, or mock the disabled, or, you know, call for the execution of liberal talk show hosts or whatever else. Like, go ahead and do any number of those things, and I promise you, you will not have a job. You might even end up in jail. So, what is Big Kish? Why does this constantly want me to log in?
And I do not celebrate the killing of anyone.
Hold on, what?
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda.
Mississippi is in shock because in the past 24 hours, 2 men were found hanging from trees in different parts of the state. The eerie similarity of these tragedies has sparked grief, outrage, and a wave of suspicion that is spreading far beyond the Deep South. And yet, mainstream media and major media organizations have not touched this story. And a lot of people are asking one question: why?
Wait a minute. This isn't making national news? I was under the impression this did make national news. Are you fucking telling me that lynchings in Mississippi did not make national news? Am I hearing that fucking correctly?
Why won't the media cover the story of 2 men found hanging from a tree in Mississippi? 2 cases that aren't connected, at least from first glance, but cases that have gripped a Mississippi community, changing these communities forever. 2 deaths, 1 state, and countless of questions. And that's why I'm going to cover this story for you today. The first tragedy stuck at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi. Early yesterday morning.
Okay, he's a very boring content creator. So we can't watch Big Kish because I have to log in. And this one was going to play. Oh, but this has to do with Charlie Kirk's death. What the fuck? Is there a way for me to sign in without, like, doxing myself? Nope. And I don't want to not stream real quick. I don't think there's a way to log in without doxing myself. Shit. That is obviously not what I wanted to do. Okay, I guess, evidently... Oh, crap. Evidently, I'm going to have to... Did that change? I don't think you can pause the stream. I think it either stops streaming and that's it. I'm gonna have to... Well, you know, it is... Hold on. Let me just do this for a quick second. Oh, my God. Well, there's our technical difficulty for the day. All right, I'll just... Ouroboros. All right. Hey, guys! Ouroboros. All right. Hey! There we go. All right. So now... I should be able to reload the playlist. All right, so I guess we're not going to be able to cover this, unfortunately. Not as much as I would like to. Anna, could you do the favor of trying to find more news? Is there not more news, like actual news coverage on this? I can't, I mean, because... Oh, we did try clicking on that, and it didn't let us play it. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on?
I'm a little nervous because I have no clue.
When the question...
Bruh. That's not... Did I not click on the icon? Why the fuck did it take me to the... Why are you doing this to me? Jesus. Okay, all I have to do is type in a different website, and then I just do this again, and it takes us back to our... That's so stupid that you can't just refresh the, So, one of the lynchings didn't get news coverage, and like, how are we living in a country where lynchings are not the fucking headliner? That's a fucking problem. Obviously, the lynching itself is the fucking problem, but that we're not even gonna fucking talk about it, that's insane. I don't want to talk about Charlie because fuck Charlie Kirk. The fact that he's getting so much air, that he's getting so much oxygen, that he's taking up so much space is insane to me, because the motherfucker is a white supremacist and he should be dead and forgotten, just like the other fuckers that have died before him. But sure, we do need
car insurance for $19 a month. It's real,
we do need
and it's
to cover
stupidly easy. Here's
the
how.
other nonsense.
President Trump says he is bringing...
The only coverage that you could find was the ones that you added, is what I'm understanding. And since I can't log in without doxing myself, then I guess we're going to have to, unfortunately, make do. So next Tuesday, let's have those clips again, the Big Kush and the news clip, and I will log in prior to.
A $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times newspaper. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Mr. Trump said the New York Times was one of the worst newspapers in the history of America. He said he was a victim of decades of lies, but offered no evidence or...
In the city of Memphis is higher than in any other city in the United States. And the order that he signed today maintains that local law enforcement are in danger of being overwhelmed, as it puts it, by this problem in a city that the order goes on to say is a beacon. Order that he signed in the city of Memphis.
His mayor.
All right.
Our North America correspondent David Willis outlined what might happen next in Memphis.
President Trump maintains that violent crime in the city of Memphis is higher than in any other city in the United States. And the order that he signed today...
Since when is Tennessee a blue state? And since when is Memphis a blue city? And again, all of these actions, all of these activities are manufacturing consent for martial law. And coming up upon the time where we are about to have primaries for congressional and senatorial elections throughout all 50 states. They're ramping up military and police and secret police presences in all of the major cities where the majority of the population of America resides to terrorize people and establish that we will be here and we will be using force. This is insane.
maintains that local law enforcement are in danger of being overwhelmed, as it puts it, by this problem in a city that the order goes on to say is a beacon of American culture and, of course, the birthplace of one Elvis Presley. So to that end, Mr. Trump has announced the formation of a task force to be comprised of members of the Tennessee National Guard as well as federal officials.
Okay. Not that I have any hope for the BBC, because I know that they have been choking on the cock of propaganda for years now, and rarely ever deviate from that. But again, it's worth noting this guy is reporting on what Trump is saying and not what is the actual truth. So if anybody were to watch this, they would be assuming that the BBC is implicitly agreeing with the Trump administration, the terrorist regime, in its claims that Memphis is dealing with unprecedented crime and martial law is the only solution.
Officials from the FBI and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, otherwise known as ICE, which will be deployed to basically saturate high crime areas in Memphis. Now, today, the U.S. Attorney General.
This is the first time I'm even hearing that Memphis has been having a larger police presence. Are there a growing number of protests in Memphis? Did ICE start terrorizing Latinos in Memphis? Like, when did Memphis enter the chat? Like, we've been doing this every week since what? April or so, and then even last year, right? So we've been doing these streams week after week after week. We've been covering domestic policy on Tuesdays and Thursdays for months, and I have never once covered Memphis, Tennessee as being a rising problem. The only thing that we have covered with Tennessee is that Elon Musk is poisoning black neighborhoods with his data centers. That's what we have covered.
Pam Bondi, who was alongside Donald Trump for the signing of that order, hailed this as an effort to, as she put it, make Memphis safe again. But the deployment of troops to Memphis is unusual because it's the first of this new initiative by the Trump administration to send troops into cities of crime, a high crime area, where there is a Republican administration. There is a Republican governor, as you mentioned, but there is a Democratic mayor, Paul Young, who is not very impressed by this move.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. The mayor of Memphis is a black man, so of course this terrorist regime is going to go ahead and send the fucking military to terrorize this man in his city and terrorize the citizens of this man's city that he is leading and the mayor of. Because, again, white supremacy is the cornerstone of this country. And this terrorist regime is trying to roll back any ounce of social progress that we have made in the past, evidently, 200 years. This administration is literally terrorizing every single demographic in this country that is non-white. And the only time a white person is ever targeted at all is if they are considered part of this, the LGBTQ community, transgender, or anti-Israel. Other than that, white people can skate on by. And the fact that this is continuing, the fact that this is being reported in a vacuum, that it isn't being challenged, that it isn't being dismissed, that it isn't being argued against, like that there is nothing negative being said in the news, locally or internationally, is absolutely fucking insane. What do you even say to that? I guess we're going to hear the mayor's words.
You don't believe creating SOPs can take seconds instead of hours? You haven't tried Scribe. Check out the...
Never mind Chicago. President Trump says he has picked a new next city for his crime crackdown.
And so we're going to Memphis. I'm just announcing that now, and we'll straighten that out.
National Guard.
National.
Joining us now is the mayor of Memphis, Paul Young. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
So wait, did he give up on Chicago because Chicago straight up refused, straight up stood up with a giant middle finger and said, fuck you, Donald Trump? Like, or is he still pushing the agenda to go after Chicago?
For your time here, let me start with just some clarity on when specifically and how you learned that the National Guard troops are coming to Memphis.
Yeah, I learned earlier this week that it was under consideration. I think Monday afternoon, I got a call from the governor's office, and they informed me of the dialogue that was underway. Certainly, there were a couple of conversations that were happening all week, trying to look at the form of how the support would come to the city, because the dialogue that I had been having was around how we can get more federal resources for FBI, DEA, ATF. And while those things are still under consideration, I learned that the National Guard is a part of what they are exploring as well. And as you know, the authority to call the National Guard lies with the governor and the president. And so as mayor, my goal is to make sure that if they are indeed coming, that we have an opportunity to drive some of the decisions around how they engage in our community.
Did you have hard confirmation before?
Here's a novel thought. Novel consideration. Novel idea. Amusing, if you will. You are the mayor of Memphis. Your governor is trying to shove a military invasion down your fucking throat. You have the chief terrorist in the Oval Office claiming that your city is a lawless wasteland. And you're, I guess, trying to gain some sort of support from the FBI, DA, ATF, so on and so forth. But you clearly don't want ICE and you clearly don't want the military in your city. Now, Chicago's mayor did something about it. They did the novel thing of shutting down the roads, of preventing the entry of the military even into Chicago. So you have several options. You could follow in Chicago's footsteps, or as the mayor of Memphis, you could activate your entire law enforcement, your own military of your own city, and I don't know, arrest the National Guard. Arrest ICE, stand in their way, shut down the bridges, shut down the streets, prevent their entry. There are so many fucking things that could be done to prevent the fascism, to be anti-fascist. And from what I'm hearing out of this man's mouth, that's not what that is not the direction he is heading.
Before the president announced it on the morning show yesterday?
No, that was the confirmation.
That was the confirmation you learned on Fox News. So in the days since that announcement, have you had conversations with the administration? Have you had conversations with the governor's office about how many?
Also, I get that Tennessee is a red state, and I get that the governor is a Republican, and I get that the governor wants to stay on the president's good side. I get all these things, but at the end of the day, the authority to activate the National Guard truly rests in the hands of the governor. The only time that the president can actually activate the National Guard is if the governor fucking requests it. The governor also has the authority to activate the National Guard under their own authority. So, again, this shouldn't be happening regardless. And the fact that the governor and the general in charge of the National Guard and the commanders beneath both of them are literally capitulating and blindly following these orders is an absolute failure of every single law, legislation, and institution our country has in place to prevent this very thing from happening.
And where they'll be, what they'll do, any more details?
No, those are the details that I believe we'll be talking about next week. Those are certainly the questions that I'm concerned about. They're the concerns of our community. We want to make sure that as these individuals come into our city and in our community, that they are able to engage in a way that is not threatening and that they are supportive to our law enforcement efforts. We certainly understand the fears that are in our community. The last time the National Guard was in Memphis was 1968.
Bam!
After MLK's assassination, and so we don't want to.
By the way, after MLK was assassinated, why would the National Guard need to be sent to Memphis? I'll give you a hint. It's because after MLK was assassinated, the entire country went up in flames. And about several days later, Congress, like, damn near unanimously passed the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Because they realized, oh shit, we are definitely not going to be able to quell these riots, this civil unrest, this blatant outrage and disrespect to the American people through force. They are winning. The American people have always beaten the government whenever they have rioted or whenever they have actually resisted in numbers and with the energy and passion to actually stand against the fascism, the problem, right? So, the fact that he invoked the riots of 1968 and didn't actually call them the riots or even allude to it, like, again, bro, like, I'm not going to take your black card because that's not my right. That's not my place. But, like, dude, as a black man, you are doing very little to defend yourself in the face of a hostile white supremacy takeover of your fucking city. Like, buddy, what are you doing? The people would like to know.
Those same images here.
I want to play for you Attorney General Pam Bondi on Tuesday, President Trump on Friday, and get your reaction and response.
Chicago should be begging Donald Trump for help to keep Chicago safe. Yet they aren't. So we're going to go into a city who wants us there.
Memphis is
that's the next city.
Deeply troubled.
So they actually gave up Chicago because Chicago resisted. Chicago stood their fucking ground. Memphis, look to your sister city, Chicago, and stand your fucking ground. Damn.
And the mayor is happy. He's a Democrat mayor. The mayor is happy. And the governor, Tennessee, the governor is happy.
Memphis is a city that wants us there. The mayor is happy. What's your reaction to those characterizations?
Well, I'm certainly not happy about the National Guard. I am looking forward to trying to find ways to invest in the things that we're already doing to address crime in our city. We've seen significant reductions over the past 2 years since we've been in office, and we want to continue that work. We want more investment in the violence interrupters and the individuals that are out working to intervene and prevent crime before it takes place. We want more support for our law enforcement in terms of investigations. So those are the things that we do want. With regards to the National Guard, it is something that we don't have a choice in, and we're going to do all that we can to make sure that it has limited impact on our community.
So let me try to get some specificity.
Yeah. For one, that was the weakest response I've ever fucking heard. Two, you're talking about law enforcement to reduce crime instead of social programs which actually reduce crime. Is there a person in the background, like behind this guy, somewhere off the screen, like this? Because quite frankly, this guy looks like he's in a hostage situation, and maybe that's exactly what it is. Maybe this guy, there's somebody with a gun behind his head somewhere, because that is not a normal reaction to somebody who is unhappy, who is resisting, and who wants this administration to act differently. Exactly. This dude is weak, Chicago doesn't play, and the mayor of Chicago stood up to the bully. That's all you have to do. Literally, that's son of a bitch. We're still here, I promise. Literally, the only thing that anybody had to do to prevent this terrorist regime from acting its terrorist policies out is get in the fucking way. No. No is a complete sentence. And there are 535 congressmen and senators, 50 governors. I don't know how many thousands of state representatives and state legislators. There are, I don't know how many thousand judges, 9 Supreme Court justices that could have all told this administration no and backed it up. And none of this would be happening right now. But instead, they kept giving in. They kept allowing this administration, this terrorist regime, to draw more lines in the sand and dragging them further and further into fascism. His fucking approval rating is in the dirt, too. So it's like, we clearly don't have a democracy, let alone a representative democracy, if over 60% of the leadership in this country is capitulating to this fucking clown. Only 40% of the leadership should be working with this clown. And guess what? That 40% would still be a minority to the 61%. And guess what? That 61% should be dominating every single conversation. But that's not how that works, because we don't have actual representation at any level of government. If we did, his 39% would have already resulted in his impeachment. That's where we fucking are with this.
Here, you say you're not happy. I watched a news conference where you said you didn't ask for the National Guard. Do you not want the National Guard in Memphis? I mean, are you saying clearly, I don't want them here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that statement has been clear. But at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that if they are coming here, which we now know they are, that we are able to drive how they engage in our city.
So this dude has either been bought or what's the other word? Oh, damn it. He has been compromised. This fucking guy has been compromised. Like, or there's somebody with a gun at his head. Because, like, this is fucking nuts. This is beyond reprehensible at this point. Like, I don't even know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say. Well, there's that, folks, I guess. Martial law was defeated in Chicago, and everywhere else, it's alive and well and growing and expanding.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words,
new twist in the case.
So, remember Mahmoud Khalil? Well, guess what? That story is back
Of Mahmoud
again.
Khalil, the former Columbia University grad student who led protests there last year.
We've learned that a federal immigration judge has ordered him to be deported. Christina Fan live outside campus to walk us through this decision. Christina?
Chris and Mary, good morning. The federal immigration judge in Louisiana issued that ruling last week, stating that Mahmoud Khalil should be removed from the country because he allegedly misrepresented his background on his green card application. The judge ordered he be deported either to Algeria, where he is a citizen, or Syria, where he was born. Khalil's attorneys detailed the latest developments in a federal court filing submitted Wednesday as part of his lawsuit against the federal government, accusing the Trump administration of retaliating against students for protesting Israel's conduct in Gaza. Khalil's attorneys wrote they plan to appeal the deportation order with the Board of Immigration Appeals, but worry that the process could be swift and unfavorable. Khalil was first detained by immigration agents in March. At first, the Trump administration alleged his presence was a threat to U.S. foreign policy, but a federal judge in New Jersey stated the government cannot deport him on those grounds and ordered his release in June. His immigration case then continued under a separate allegation leveled by the Trump administration administration, accusing Khalil of leaving out details about his past associations on his immigration paperwork, including membership in a United Nations agency that works with Palestinian refugees. Khalil denied.
That would make this man a fucking saint. And so what? If you're an immigrant, you have to list every time you walk into a door or you volunteer at an organization? I'm not fucking understanding this.
Making those misrepresentations. CBS News has reached out to the Department of Homeland Security for comment on these latest developments and are still waiting to hear back. Reporting live from Morningside Heights, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
He worked with the UN, and that's the problem, right? He had the credentials and qualifications to work with the UN, but because he was supporting Palestine with the UN, now all of a sudden he's back to being a threat. Also, if a New Jersey judge was the first judge to prevent him from being deported, why the fuck is there a Louisiana judge sticking their nose in at all? Where's the overlap in jurisdiction? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, why are all these stories today just lynching, martial law, more secret police bullshit? Like, is there any good news here today? Probably not. But hey, that it wouldn't be a stream in America in the year of our Lord 2025 if the stream was happy, right? Because then we would still be playing video games on Thursdays instead of doing recap Thursdays. For fuck's sake.
You could borrow anywhere
so
from
actually, no, wait, this is probably good news.
$250,000 to fund your dream renovation.
Mangione
is breaking news. A judge has dismissed terrorism charges
no longer
against the
considered a
suspect in the
terrorist.
United Healthcare CEO murder case. That suspect appeared in a Manhattan courtroom for the first time in months.
Look at my boy.
Where the judge
look at how handsome. Well, that's not good. Still. What
two counts of murder as a crime of terrorism, but the rest
He
of the
has
indictment remains, including
such
second-degree
great
murder
genetics.
charges.
Look at that handsome
and that
man.
suspect has pleaded not guilty. Let's bring
A
in ABC
strong
chief
hairline.
investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky, who was inside the courtroom, and ABC
Nice
legal
fade.
contributor Brian Buckmeyer from War Analysis. Aaron, what's the latest here?
Luigi Mangione came and went from a quick hearing here at court, and the judge from the bench issued a ruling dismissing charges of murder as a crime of terrorism. Judge Gregory Caro said, Diane, that the prosecutors presented sufficient evidence that the defendant murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in a premeditated and calculated execution. But the judge said that does not mean the defendant did so with terroristic intent. So Luigi Mangione is still going to face second-degree murder charges that could get him life in prison, but the judge did not find that there was an enhancement of terrorism that was warranted here because he said the evidence just didn't support it. Prosecutors with the Manhattan DA's office believe that Mangione's writings that were allegedly found in a notebook he was carrying in a backpack after his arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania, pointed to the idea that Mangione wanted to influence others. So they believed this terrorism enhancement was satisfied, but the judge disagreed. So Mangione is still going to be facing these murder charges that accuse him of intentionally killing Brian Thompson, but absent that terroristic enhancement. So it is a win for the defense. The case is slightly narrowed, and he's due back here now December 1st.
Brian,
honestly, with the state of our nation and how fascistic we have gotten and how manipulated the court systems are and how hard this terror regime is pushing to destroy people and target people, the fact that he is no longer being able to get charged with terrorism, that's a fucking win. That is a fucking win. And true, Luigi does have a swagger even in chains, and that's the point. Like, that is absolutely incredible that he has that aura, that presence, that ability to resist the terrorist regime from trying to break his spirit and break his will, even though he has a broken back. And yeah, I think he's also getting more jacked too. I'm pretty certain all of the prisoners are giving him as much yard time, as much food, as much hair support as he needs or wants, because that man is living a healthier life than most people, even outside of prison. So let's hear more good news.
What do you make of the judge's logic here? Why aren't those writings enough to show that this was more than just about killing Brian Thompson, but it was also about spreading a larger message and scaring other people?
So as someone who's practiced in New York for over a decade now and has actually litigated against this statute of terrorism, I think it does make sense. And this is why, and I'll break it down this way. There are 3 different ways in which you can affect terrorism, 2 of which apply to the government, either influencing a policy of the government by intimidation or affecting the conduct of a unit of government by murder. That doesn't apply here. What both the defense and prosecution were focusing on, the one aspect of to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. And while the writings are a part of this case, I think if Luigi Mangione had publicized those writings and told the civilian population to try to coerce him, says, I'm going to do this for this reason because I want United Healthcare to do X, Y, and Z. I think that would have been terrorism. The way that the government argued this in saying that, well, because there was a murder of an individual that has a certain policy based on his employment, it's clear that the individual, being Luigi Mangione, was trying to influence the population. And the judge made the analogy and said, no, murders throughout the city, throughout the country, that can terrorize people. It can make them frightened. But it doesn't mean that the person who's committing that murder is trying to influence them for that basis. And there was not that information in the grand jury. So I think the judge's ruling makes sense here.
And I know this differs state by state. So say...
Okay. I was kind of hoping that would be a little bit more interesting, but that was not. Oh, here we go. His lawyers. Let's try that one.
Thank you.
I thought they were going to say something.
Or is that also, if you could just clarify what's involved?
So, I got it, sweetie. It's protected medical information that I'm not going to comment on.
Okay, got it, but it's not legitimate.
So you said it's the first of many wins. Well, how is Luigi after
We don't
today?
We don't want you to get hurt walking backwards. So we will stand here for a minute, but then we're not commenting. So we will keep walking.
Is Luigi in good
Okay.
spirits? Can we at least get a whole good spirits thing? How's he doing? What about his mail? We're here.
Yeah, I don't know.
The most mail of any inmate, past or present.
Karen, you successfully convinced the judge.
You're very persuasive. Would you mind stepping and making a parting so that we can walk away from here? Would that be okay with you?
Okay. Well,
thank you so much.
Karen,
We
you
appreciate it.
got it.
What the fuck? I thought they would be doing victory laps and bragging about this. But, okay. I guess she's just trying to be really professional. Never mind, I guess. I guess there's some mild heartwarmingness here in the sense that the boy who was shot and trying to protect his own friends did actually survive.
My friend Victor saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit. The first one I was like, what is that? I thought it was just something, then when I heard it again, I just ran under the pew, and then I covered my head.
Your friend laid on top of you?
Yeah, and he got hit.
Is this something that you've practiced before?
Yeah, we practice it every month. We've never practiced it in the church though, only.
I just want to point out that this 10-year-old child has to practice active shooter drills every fucking month. A 10-year-old has to practice active shooter drills every fucking month because that is how prominent active shooters are at schools. Because we don't have a gun problem in America.
You've practiced before?
Yeah, we practice it every month. We've never practiced it in the church though, only in school. So it was way different. My friend got shot in the back.
Last week, Weston told Fox 9 about the heroic actions of his friend Victor.
And then my friend Victor, he was laying on top of me making sure I was safe and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And now we know Victor is out of the hospital and recovering with family, according to this fundraiser. Victor's family says it's overwhelmed.
Thank God that they have gotten their
fundraising.
fundraising.
$300,000 in donations received.
This is...
It kills me. Is that all that you could find on Victor? Like, what is wrong with this fucking country? Secondly, we are required to practice every month by New York state law. Again, New York State, one of the most liberal states in the country, with one of the most harsh gun control laws in the country, still mandates practice, like active shooter drills every single month. Because again, the laws of regulating guns are meaningless if, people ignore them, for one, and for two, if the material conditions are not met that would prevent some psychopath using the gun in the first fucking place. This is a fucking stressful day. Very stressful day.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israeli ground forces have advanced deeper into Gaza City, forcing thousands of Palestinians to flee under heavy fire from tanks, fighter jets, and naval bombardment. The relentless strikes killed at least 79 Palestinians over the last 24 hours, according to Gaza health officials, with another 228 wounded. Among the dead are a mother and child killed in an air attack on a residential apartment in the Shati refugee camp. And 13
Again, people in refugee camps continue to get attacked by Israel, continue to be murdered by Israel, continue to be supported by Western powers, and doing very little to stop Israel. I don't want to just skip through this, but there's only so much of this I can take.
At or near aid sites operated by the militarized U.S. and Israeli-backed so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. In Brussels, the European...
And at least she does cover the fact that the foundations that are American and Israeli funded, supported, manned, are heavily militarized, which is not normal. That's not normal for aid stations. And again, we already covered the fact that these aid stations are being manned by some of the most reprehensible human beings from America.
The European Commission Wednesday submitted a proposal to suspend the EU's trade agreement with Israel and to sanction far-right Israeli cabinet members Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, as well as 10 Hamas members. This is Kaya Kallas, Vice President of the European Commission.
The aim is not to punish Israel.
How are you going to open up your fucking speech and then say the aim is not to punish Israel when you are condemning Israel? Are you fucking serious?
The aim is to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza. All member states agree that the situation in Gaza is untenable. The war needs to end. The suffering must stop and all hostages must be released. We must use all the tools we have towards this outcome.
In
they
Washington,
seriously
D.C.
are still parroting the hostages line. Israel has came out and said they don't care about the hostages. That if the hostages were released, that they would still continue murdering Palestinians. What the fuck? Why? Seriously? Why? What is compelling in driving these people to defend Israel?
The families of U.S. citizens killed by Israeli soldiers and settlers gathered on Capitol Hill this week to demand the Trump administration investigate the killings. This is Ozden Bennett, whose sister, Aishanur Ezgi Aigi, was shot to death by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank a year ago.
What will it take for the Department of Justice to live up to its name? Why are some American lives worth fighting for while others are not? Why is it that the U.S. government is swift to act as long as the perpetrator isn't Israel?
To see our interview with Ozden Bennett, go to Democracy.
Welcome to the stream, Pop Culture. is it a good idea to lower interest rates during this weak job market, or will it just make things worse? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, low interest rates means people can spend their money and not have to pay more of their money to banks, which means that they're borrowing less, which means their payments are less, which fundamentally would suggest that lower interest rates helps improve economic spending from all levels. So, yes, it'll improve, but the problem is this job market is going to suffer so long as this terrorist regime is in power, because all of their actions only result in the consequence of economic destruction. Not a single policy that this terrorist regime has enacted has benefited the working class in any sense of the imagination. So, lowering interest rates, yeah, sure, fine, that will help, but that's not going to undo the 60% of Americans who are living in poverty.
Now.org. Joining the protests was Cindy Corey, the mother of Rachel Corey, who was crushed to death by an Israeli bulldozer while trying to protect a Palestinian home in Gaza from demolition in 2003. The group was brought together by Washington Congressmember Pramila Jayapal.
Ambassador Huckabee, if you are listening, please step up and do what you said you would do, which is demand transparency, accountability, investigation into the deaths of U.S. citizens. Right now, the Trump administration is continuing to allow U.S. citizens to be killed with impunity, even as the Israeli government commits genocide of Palestinians in Gaza.
Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders has announced Israel's assault and siege on Gaza as a genocide. Senator Sanders wrote in an op-ed on Wednesday, quote, "Over the last 2 years, Israel has not simply defended itself against Hamas. Instead, it has waged an all-out war against the entire Palestinian people. Many legal experts have now concluded Israel is committing genocide in Gaza," Senator Sanders wrote.
Yeah, thank you for finally saying it. 2 years fucking too late.
Ukraine and the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation have announced they would each invest $75 million to a joint fund to support Ukraine's reconstruction. It's part of a minerals deal Ukraine signed with Washington back in April. This morning, Russia closed its airport in Volgograd and put oil refineries on alert in response to a Ukrainian drone attack. This follows Russia's drone attack on several Ukrainian cities Tuesday, killing 7 people. On Wednesday, NATO conducted military exercises in Poland with tanks, helicopters, and jets in response to Russian and Belarusian war games across the border. ABC has suspended the late-night show of Jimmy Kimmel after the chair of...
I'm glad that made the news. But the thing that bothers me about this being in the news, and that the fact that this is being covered as one of the major headlines of this week, is the fact that Jimmy Kimmel being canceled should just never have happened. Like, this is literally that scene from V for Vendetta where the comedian gets attacked by the government for mocking the government. And that was one of the major turning points in that movie where the British citizenry recognized that, oh, maybe we are living in a fascist state and we should do something about it. If this isn't the canary in the coal mine, I don't fucking know what is.
The Federal Communications Commission...
actually, I'm sorry. This isn't the canary in the coal mine because that's usually the first sign. This is the coal mine collapsing. And the workers ignoring the fact that the canary has already been killed. So, like, people need to start waking up from this.
To take action against ABC for comments Kimmel made about the alleged killer of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The backlash followed Kimmel's opening monologue Monday night.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The abrupt...
Which is probably the most honest thing that an American commentator has made. That is literally, he is as mainstream as it gets. And that was the most honest thing I have ever heard any of these CNN, ABC, CBS, these MSM folks say. That was literally the most honest thing I've ever heard any of them say. And it's blatantly obvious that this is what's happening too. He didn't say anything that wasn't easily observable, but he was crushed under heel regardless. Most ABC shows didn't even talk about it. The only one who did was David Muir. And, right, he didn't even say anything about Charlie Kirk himself. And then once that happened, everybody got scared. Right, no, and that's the thing. People, these networks are getting scared, but here's the problem. They aren't getting scared. They are owned and operated by billionaires who are supporters of this terrorist regime. Meaning, this isn't fear and response of retaliation. This is consolidation and using that event, that assassination, that murder as the point, as the reason, as the defining moment of consolidating the news even further. Because they're also trying to buy out another major news network, which at this point, I think we're down to 4 major news, 4 companies owning all of the news in America, and we're going to be down to 3. And eventually it'll be down to 2, to the 1, which will then be state media. And that is the end goal. They are literally, so much shit has been put into place and being rolled out after Charlie Kirk's murder that it is impossible to suggest or to even consider that his death was not the most beneficial thing to happen to this administration to date, which would make it a false flag. The Post lied and said he got suspended for lying about Kirk. Isn't that libel? It is. And he should sue them. And he has the money and resources to do so. So, I mean, but that's the thing. At this stage of the game, like, individuals fighting back against other individuals isn't going to stop the fascism, right? That's not what's going to stop it. We need collective engagement and collective resistance like what we saw in Chicago. And from what I can tell, the only entity, the only organization, the only city, the only government, the only institution to actively resist, to actually join the ranks of anti-fascism has been Chicago so far. And that is absolutely insane. Trump is already calling for the firing of Jimmy Fallon, even though he was in Jimmy's show in 2016 and he glazed him. And Seth Meyers. And that's my point. He's going after specific individuals that are not even actively dissenting against him. And that's the point. This is the targeting of free speech. This is the targeting of free press. This is literally the final erosion of what remnants of democracy we might have had left. Quite frankly, this stream will eventually get targeted. Hassan is already being targeted, right? Like, this is, I don't even know what to say anymore. These things that can keep happening are by design for the purpose of instilling fear and normalizing these activities. We couldn't be here if we didn't allow 8 months of this shit to progress to this point. Now, sure, I've been against it. Hassan's been against it. Many of you have been against it, right? Many of you who aren't even watching right now or will ever see this have been against it. But we have not been against it collectively. Because as much as he wants to declare Antifa an organization and call it a terrorist organization, technically it doesn't exist. It's not an organization, it's an idea. Antifa, anti-fascism, is an idea. And I will proudly wear that badge. And I will declare myself the leader of it, if that's what it takes for people to find something to rally behind. That is what we need in this moment. We don't need 15 different groups, 15,000 different groups acting separately. We need those 15,000 groups to work under the common cause of being against anti-fascism. So Raise your banners, my countrymen. Raise your banners, friends, family, and comrades. Rise up and resist this tyranny. That is where we're at.
Decision to indefinitely suspend Jimmy Kimmel Live reportedly came from Robert Iger, chief executive of ABC's parent company, the Walt Disney Company, and Disney Entertainment co-chair Dana Walden.
And Disney has been fascist since Nazi Germany because the Waltons were fucking Nazis.
Remarks by FCC Chair Brendan Carr to podcaster Benny Johnson.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the...
How is saying that Charlie Kirk's death is being used to the benefit of this administration, this terrorist regime, how is that the worst thing possible? That is the absolute truth. And this motherfucker on the left, isn't he one of the premier neo-Nazis in America? Isn't it like Nick Fuentes, some other guy, and then him? Isn't he an avowed neo-Nazi? What the fuck?
Hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Carr's comment contrasts with a tweet he wrote in 2022.
Well, at least she's
reading,
calling out
quote,
the bullshit.
Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship, Brendan Carr wrote in 2022. In 2023, Carr wrote, free speech is the counterweight. It is the check on government control. That is why censorship is the authoritarian's dream, he wrote. Kimmel's removal comes amidst a $6.2 billion merger between Nexstar, one of the biggest owners of ABC affiliates, and Tegna, which requires FCC approval. In a statement, the president of Nexstar called Kimmel's jokes offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, unquote. The largest of ABC's affiliate groups, the Sinclair Broadcast Group, said it would suspend Jimmy Kimmel Live until formal discussions are held with ABC about, quote, professionalism and accountability. Sinclair also demanded Kimmel make a direct apology to Charlie Kirk's family and for him to personally donate money to Kirk's conservative youth organization, Turning Point US.
They are seriously demanding that he donates to the Hitler Youth Program? Again, an overwhelming number of conservative networks were openly mocking George Floyd. The NYPD has been mocking the black people that they have murdered by wearing I Can Breathe shirts for years, decades even. And not once were they held to the same standards as Kimmel, saying, yeah, they're taking advantage of Kirk's death and trying to paint the shooter as anything other than what he was, which is one of them. That is factually correct information. That is, coming from a comedian, more newsworthy than the actual fucking news. And the response of corporations in this terrorist regime is to try and force this man to donate to the fascist cause? Unfucking believable. And sure, we can sit here and talk about how it is against the law, how it does violate the First Amendment. We can sit here and talk about that all day long and it would still be true. That's not the problem. The problem is there isn't an immediate accountability for any attempts at eroding the First Amendment, right? Like, damn it. There is nothing happening to the corporations that are censoring Jimmy Kimmel. There's nothing happening to the terrorist regime that is targeting Jimmy Kimmel and anybody else who speaks out against the regime. Like, there are no immediate responses, repercussions, or ramifications. There is nothing negative happening other than people being victimized for literally speaking the truth. And that should deeply concern everyone. Even if you think Kirk was a moderate, even if you do think he was a moderate, you should still be deeply concerned that Jimmy Kimmel was removed from his spot on television. And if you think Kirk was a moderate and that his death was a tragedy and his silencing was a tragedy, but you think silencing liberal voices or left-leaning voices is okay and acceptable, then I hate to break it to you, but once again, you're a good German. You're part of the Nazi Party. You are not anti-fascist. You are fascist. Period. Dot. Right. I'm not a Jimmy Kimmel fan. I actually don't think he's that great. I don't think he's that funny. I think he's quite boring. I don't really find any of his content worth watching. But I wouldn't kick him off the air just because I'm president and he said something untoward to me. Like, that is his purpose, is to do satire, is to challenge authority, and to interview celebrities and do dumb shit on his show. That is his purpose, and he has the right to do it. If anybody should be deplatformed, it should be all of Fox News. Fox News, which has already lost lawsuits for claiming to be news and not making it very clear to the audience that they are entertainment. And they are directly responsible for pushing racist, white supremacist rhetoric and are directly responsible for hate crimes that have occurred and for getting this piece of garbage elected twice. Fox News was also celebrating people who threatened to lynch Obama when he was in office. Like, if ever there was a single platform that should have been removed for being dangerous, for inciting violence in society, or for eroding rights and liberties, or encouraging people to engage in violence against minorities, it's Fox News. I always hoped people would think he sucks and just let the network cancel it on its own. Right. Cancel him because he sucks, not because he said something that hurt dear leader's feelings. I mean, I got kind of a chuckle out of watching him roast Ben Stein on Win Ben Stein's Money, but that's about it. His anti-red overlord material just looked so mad because fundamentally he's just a liberal. He's just a neoliberal. He's not left. He's nowhere close to being left, and they treated him as if he was me or Hassan. Insane.
This comes after CBS announced it was canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert next May amidst a corporate merger between Paramount and Skydance Media. President Trump welcomed Kimmel's suspension, writing on social media from London, quote, "The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done," unquote. Trump also attacked other late night hosts, saying Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers should also be canceled. In southern Pennsylvania, 3 police officers were killed and 2 others seriously wounded by gun.
I remember when Osama bin Laden was killed, Fox News accidentally put a banner that Obama was killed, and there were lots of Republicans celebrating. Right. So how are they able to remain on air and not be judged, yet everyone who even wags their finger in the direction of Republicans or conservatives gets canceled? Like, again, none of these networks are even actively resisting this administration, and they are still attacking them with the fervor as of them being like the Young Turks or Hassan. These are a bunch of people who would complain what they say was taken out of context, and now look at this. Exactly. And the Kimmel Show didn't have low ratings. I'm surprised nobody brought back those receipts in response to We Never Celebrate Murder and stuff. And that's the thing. There have been people who have been bringing the receipts, and yet it's just being wildly ignored. Wildly ignored.
fire Wednesday as they were following up on a domestic investigation in rural York County. Investigators did not immediately identify the suspect, who they say was shot dead by the officer's return fire. The former director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Susan Manaras, told a Senate panel Wednesday how she was pressured by Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. to fire top CDC scientists and sign off on vaccine recommendations issued by a panel filled with RFK's appointees. Dr. Manaras also recounted how RFK Jr. accused CDC employees of, quote, killing children in a meeting with her a week before she was fired. She warned that RFK Jr.'s actions could cause the return of preventable diseases such as, quote, polio, measles, diphtheria, and whooping cough.
Which is already happening in the country. Texas had the first measles outbreak in damn near a century. Polio has actually started infecting people again because of RFK Jr. and because of the anti-vax movement. She is 100% correct. And quite frankly, I look forward to charging RFK Jr. with thousands, if not more, counts of murder or indirect murder for his fucking actions. I cannot wait to see his face, if he's still alive, when he faces those charges.
The stakes are not theoretical. We already have seen the largest measles outbreak in more than 30 years, which claimed the lives of 2 children. If vaccine protections are weakened, preventable diseases will return. I was fired for holding the line on scientific integrity, but that line does not disappear with me. It now runs through every parent deciding whether to vaccinate a child, every physician counseling a patient, and every American who demands accountability.
Meanwhile, RFK Jr.'s Vaccine Advisory Committee is set to...
Yeah, honestly, his uncle and his father are rolling in their graves. And talk about destroying a legacy. I'm not saying the Kennedys were paragons of virtue and morality. I'm not saying that. I am saying that both Kennedy brothers did their part for their time to not be bastards. JFK, for his part, was not outright a bastard. He did do many things that were great. He did also do many things that were not so great. RFK Jr. was arguably the better brother. I believe he was truly an activist in the sense that we could use that term today. But their progeny are literally boot-licking fascist scum. Name a single Kennedy who is still alive that isn't a rancid piece of garbage. Name one. Not a grandkid, not an actual child. Nobody in the Kennedy line is worth a damn. That family line has fallen off a fucking cliff. And there's no redemption. I just heard that Trump is requesting for Ian Omar to be removed from Congress. Right. Wasn't she censored by Congress today? And in fact, if you can find a video on that, let's cover that too today, if we get the chance, or that'll be the next thing we cover. Mace said in response to a MAGA loyalist who claims to be a constitutional conservative asking, should she be stripped of it? Yes. And she wants her deported. Of course, because racism and white supremacy go hand in fucking hand. Oh, good. The video is there. Perfect. JFK was decent. RFK was better. That's why RFK Jr. is still alive. His cousin, JFK Jr., died under very weird circumstances. Go figure. All right. Let's finish up Democracy Now's video, and then we'll do Ian Omar.
Vote today and tomorrow on changing recommendations on shots against COVID-19, hepatitis B, and chickenpox. 2 former senior officials at the CDC say the panel could vote on delaying the hepatitis B vaccine currently administered to newborns to age 4. The panel could also vote on restricting access to the COVID-19 shot for people under the age of 75. On Wednesday, the West Coast Health Alliance, comprised of California, Oregon, Hawaii, and Washington State, issued their own COVID-19, flu, and RSV vaccine record.
So, like I said, find me a Kennedy who is still alive and isn't a piece of shit. And actually, didn't we cover JFK Jr. at one point? I feel like we actually covered that story at some point. I don't know if it was definitely not this year, but it might have been while I was in New Hampshire. But I do remember talking about JFK Jr. for a little bit, and then it's like, oh great, the last decent Kennedy is dead now. Joe Kennedy? No, he's an absolute piece of garbage. He is 100% neoliberal trash. Neoliberal trash to the core. I'm concerned what would happen if he survived, how his politics would be today. Yeah, that's true, though. That is true. All of these people, you know, they start doing whatever, and then they get involved in the game, and then they get their shit rocked politically. JFK Jr. died in the 90s? Okay, maybe. I feel like we still covered that, because I think I do remember saying something about, where's the good Kennedys? Oh, wait, they're dead. So...
recommendations. California Governor Gavin Newsom also signed a law allowing California to set up its own vaccine schedule apart from CDC guidance. The Federal Reserve has voted to lower interest rates for the first time this year, lowering them by 0.25 percentage point. This comes as President Trump's tried to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook and has repeatedly tried to pressure the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. White House advisor Stephen Miron was sworn in as a Fed governor just minutes before the central bank meeting. He voted to lower interest rates. The Fed's move to lower interest rates comes after the Bureau of Labor Statistics revised jobs numbers for 20.
That's my point. Joe Kennedy was being touted as like a what do we call that? A protege of Joe Biden. He was being praised and raised in the Democratic circles as like the next up-and-coming Democratic leader, except he was a neoliberal piece of scum that was instantly rejected by Democratic voters. Now, normally you would think, well, that doesn't stop the Democrats from pushing their agenda. For whatever reason, they decided to not go with the Kennedy and decided to go with Kamala Harris, who is so deeply unpopular within the party, she wasn't even able to run as California governor because they hate her so much. Yet, yes, Queen, you can be our next president. Makes no sense.
24 through March of this year, finding the U.S. economy added close to 1 million fewer jobs than previously reported. The report comes as President Trump politicizes the work of the BLS. Last month, Trump fired its commissioner over revised jobs numbers. On Tuesday, Erica McIntyre made her first public remarks since her removal.
Firing your chief statisticians for releasing data you do not like, it has serious economic consequences. The lists of countries that have gone down this route, it's not a good list. Argentina, Greece, Turkey. The resulting loss of trust in economic statistics led these countries to worsening economic crises, higher inflation, and higher borrowing costs.
Here in New York, a federal judge granted a preliminary injunction Wednesday to improve conditions at the notorious ICE jail inside 26 Federal Plaza in Manhattan. Immigrants have described being imprisoned for days or weeks at a time in overcrowded cells without access to medication and proper sanitation, being forced to sleep on the concrete floor and left hungry without outside contact. The ACLU's National Prison Project said in a statement, quote, ICE's conduct at 26 Federal Plaza is inhumane, illegal, and a direct violation of the Constitution. No person should be denied medical care, access to a lawyer, or basic dignity when they're held in government custody, they said. An immigration judge.
That is absolutely true. And the fact that ICE keeps getting away with it, and people think, well, ICE isn't all that bad. They're not Nazis. They're not the secret police of America. They're not bad people. They're just trying to do their jobs. So why is it that ICE detention centers never allow congresswomen to go in there? Congress people in general to go in there? Why is it they never let reporters go in there? And why is it every time they are sued, it's sued for inhumane conditions and violating liberties and civil rights and dignity? And why is it that they consistently fucking lose? If they weren't the bad guys, they wouldn't be consistently losing. That's all I'm going to say on that.
In Louisiana Wednesday ordered the deportation of Columbia University graduate Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil to Algeria or Syria, ruling that he failed to disclose certain information on his green card application. Khalil's lawyers say they plan to challenge the order. Khalil remains free after a federal district court ordered the government not deport him as his federal court case proceeds. Khalil played a prominent role in the Palestine solidarity protests at Columbia University last spring and was detained in an ICE jail in Louisiana this year for 104 days before being released in June.
That's why the Louisiana jail is getting involved. I didn't know why the Louisiana judge was getting involved before. There we go. It started in New Jersey. He was trafficked to Louisiana, which then allowed the Louisiana racist, conservative, fascist judges to then perpetuate the agenda of being racist, fascist pieces of garbage.
Khalil wrote, quote, "It is no surprise that the Trump administration continues to retaliate against me for my exercise of free speech. Their latest attempt through a kangaroo immigration court exposes their true colors once again," he said. To see our interviews with...
And the fact that most people are not drawing those same conclusions is the fucking problem. Well, yeah, they keep taking people to New Jersey and Louisiana. They keep trafficking people there because they know that those judges are in their pocket and will give them the results that they are looking for, which is to be Nazis. Unfucking believable that this is going on. And people are just like, well, they shouldn't have broken the law. Motherfucker, breaking the law is not grounds to be kidnapped and trafficked within our own nation's borders. That's not how that fucking works. Yeah, and pop culture, to your point's right. What's stopping the next person from rejecting reports? And what's stopping the next president from removing him from Mount Rushmore and all that other... Correct. All of this fascism can be undone. It can be done bureaucratically or it can be done revolutionarily. But it can be undone. The problem is, the deeper and further entrenched it becomes, the more intense the solution becomes to roll it all back.
With Mahmoud Khalil, visit democracynow.org. President Trump says he's designating the anti-fascist movement known as ANTIFA a terrorist organization.
And I'm declaring myself president of ANTIFA.
Writing in the early morning hours after a lavish dinner at Windsor Castle with the British royal family, Trump wrote on his social media site, quote, "I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization."
So here's the thing, pop culture. The only reason why this administration can get away with doing what it's doing is because of the complicit branches of government. And the fact that the states are complicit as well, and the cities are complicit as well, and the military is complicit, and the media is complicit. The next president of the United States of America will not have that type of entrenched power unless they take extreme measures, such as declaring a state of emergency, arresting everyone under crimes against democracy, and then additional charges like crimes, war crimes and crimes against humanity, or the fact that they're responsible for murders and deaths and this, that, and the other. That president would have to arrest every single person, charge them, have them go through a kangaroo court, and execute them, strip them of their power, strip them of their assets, the whole 9 yards. Because otherwise, they would simply be cock-blocked the entire time. Remember, Only 1/3 of the Senate is up for election every 2 years. 1/3 of governors, right? 1/3 of state senators, right? And I don't know how often judges get elected, but let's just say it's 1/3 as well. So if only 1/3 of the country rotates every 2 years, it would take 6 years for the next president to have the opportunity to have a fully complicit administration for their agenda. Unless, of course, they do the thing that I just described, which is declaring a state of emergency, rounding all those motherfuckers up, and ensuring they can never cause anyone harm again. Or revolution. I mean, there's always the revolution, right? But at the rate things are going, if people aren't marching in the streets now, they're probably not going to. They did that to a friend of a friend. She lived in New Jersey, and they trafficked her to Louisiana. She was forced to sign a paper and deported before she could talk to a lawyer, which is, again, illegal. Being compelled to sign a document admitting to a crime, being coerced, makes that signature non-binding. In every single law, in every single state, in every single instance in which coercion is deemed to be proven, coercion makes any admission of guilt inadmissible. Any admission of guilt. Even if after the fact they decide, okay, well, I was coerced, but actually I did do it anyway, now that I have a free conscience and all this, that, and the other. Like, it's still inadmissible. So your friend of a friend should be allowed back based on the laws of the United States of America. But of course, because those laws aren't being followed and this terrorist regime is going out of its way to terrorize Latinos and threaten everyone under the sun into capitulating, yeah, she's going to be staying where she is. I was asking because if he can reject stuff he doesn't like, the next blue president can reject or remove stuff related to him. That's not accurate. The next blue president could revoke every single executive order, though. They have that right. When Anna's president, if they remove stuff related to you, information about you, all hell must break loose. They'll never get there so long as they keep being idiots and throwing it all away. This isn't as tough as they're making it out to be. Zoran knows how to do it so far. Except Zoran is capitulating to the Democrats and turning into a neoliberal before our very eyes. But we don't have due process anymore. We really, truly do not have due process anymore. In True Steel chiming in with Not in the USA. Exactly. Yeah, Pop, Anna legitimately has no interest whatsoever in being in the spotlight. So, it do be like that.
Unquote. And Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee rejected a request by Democrats yesterday to subpoena 4 major banks, J.P. Morgan, BNY, Bank of America, and Deutsche Bank, about their connections to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The subpoena would have looked into $1.5 billion worth of suspicious transactions previously flagged by the banks. It comes as the committee's ranking Democratic Congressmember, Jamie Raskin, grilled FBI Director Kash Patel yesterday about the Epstein files.
Wait, have you released all of the stuff that the FBI has seized from Epstein's house? The computers, the emails, the file cabinets, the documents? What about the financial records? Have you released all of that?
Everything the court has allowed us to release.
Which court are you talking about?
3 separate federal courts have come in and said...
We're talking about the evidence you've got. It's got nothing to do with what those courts have.
Do you have any idea how the law works?
Wait.
Do you want me to break the law in a federal judge's order?
No, I want you to follow your own word, Director Patel. You said up there it was under the direct control of the FBI director. He had the black book.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!
Those are some of the headlines, folks. Fascism is alive and well in the United States of America in the year of our Lord, 2025. Poor confused Kash Patel. Here's the other thing too, though, right? He could release all of the evidence of Epstein on his own authority. He doesn't have to be compelled or given permission by the courts to do that. Now, sure, that would undermine the president, right? It would undermine that agenda, but if we're just talking technically, what power and authority does Kash Patel have with regards to his jurisdiction and the cases that he is overseeing? Yes, he 100% has the authority and the ability to reveal the evidence to the public, especially if it's in the public's best interest. And also, these Republicans on these special committees keep getting in the way of the subpoenas because they don't want to see their names come up on the list. And again, you have criminals in this administration throughout the country in positions of power, whether that's in industry, the military, or government. You have these motherfuckers using that power, using their influence, using their position to save their own asses while committing crimes in broad daylight. Like, when I talk about arresting everybody and charging them accordingly, like, that's not even an exaggeration of how many people are a part of this problem. And the fact that somebody would be like, well, that sounds pretty fascist of you, Mr. President of Antifa. No, it isn't. Charging people for crimes that they are actively committing and having the evidence to back it up due to it being public through news and literally with our own 2 eyes and 2 ears seeing and hearing what they are doing, admitting to the crimes or walking back their admission to the crimes, as the case may be. It's self-incrimination, honestly. Like, in a normal functioning democracy, every single one of these motherfuckers would already be in prison and charged and awaiting their sentencing. Like this, the fact that we have to wait almost 4 years for me to get into office, or maybe 2 years for me to get into Congress, to start that ball rolling, is insane, because this ball should have already been rolling. That's how fucking blatant all this shit is. And I have literally stress eaten a whole bowl of chips and an entire family bag of rice deals. 6 servings per container. I ate them all. Like, we're fucked, folks. Like, this is stressful. If you are an alive, thinking, feeling human being, especially in the United States of America, and you are stressed the fuck out, like you got dark circles and bags under your eyes, you're not getting good rest, your blood pressure is high, your pulse is high, welcome, because you are in fact reacting correctly to the erosion of democracy and common sense and anything resembling decency in our society. And honestly, no amount of therapy, no amount of counseling, no amount of going out with the boys or the girls or whatever else is going to make you feel better, because the next day you are still going to be dealing with the fact that the terrorist regime in office is terrorizing this country and solidifying its stranglehold on this country as well. And those horrors are going to continue to persist. So yeah, if you need to shut off social media for a few weeks, a few months, if you need to just pretend that this shit isn't happening, go ahead. Because unfortunately, there will come a point where you cannot ignore it. Where every city and town will have ICE agents or the military marching through the streets, doing random searches of your workplace, neighborhood watches, neighborhood raids. It's coming. So while you have the chance to rest and recover. Build your strength. Build your resilience. Find your coping mechanism and prepare. Prepare for the eventual Antifa clash with the fascism that is occurring, because it is coming. If this... Hold up. I don't have the temperament, lol. I'd be telling motherfuckers to go fuck themselves left and right. Well, I would too. But I might do it a little bit more politically than you would. That is true. If this guy and his fantasy island assistant can do it, so can you. I'm happy being Sam's chief of staff and Leah being the future president. We may need you to be 49 until Leia gets to presidential age. Anna's forever 35. If you've ever seen a picture of Anna, that's actually not a lie. And it turns out she also has vampire healing powers. I was told I have high blood pressure. This might explain it. It might. It's good to decompress for a bit, but it's not going to fix it. Kash Patel will protect us. No, he's going to fight on the front lines and take us all to Valhalla. A religion that is considered pagan during this Christian administration that is trying to create a white ethno-Christian state. I feel so much better already. I can't shut off social media. It's where Anna helps me to make sense of this insanity going on. Well, lucky for me, Anna and several other members of my campaign do all the social media for me. But I would be remiss if I wasn't on social media as well, because, well, I'm trying to present myself as the president of Antifa, as well as the president of the United States of America. So I don't have a choice. I got to be a part of all this fuckery. What I do need to do is quit my job. Hey, if somebody... Whoops. Sorry. We're still here. We still got another hour and 8 minutes. Sorry about that. If somebody could screenshot me being the president of Antifa and said that to Marzetti, Allendary, Columbus on Frank Road, you'd be doing me a favor. I can file for unemployment. I could sue them for retaliation and discrimination, and violating my First Amendment right to free speech. And then with the millions of dollars from that lawsuit, I can actually fund our revolution. So, carrying on, because we do still have stuff to talk about. Anna said that we do have stories about Ian Omar, so let's do that. Did I scroll past it? I scrolled past it. Oh, here it is. Breaking news. What the fuck is this ad?
Stuck poop. The #1 food for regular.
Bruh. The ad starts by farting, and then it shows the thickest female body getting massaged. Like, what is this ad? It had literal sex, like sexualized imagery, and fart jokes. That's insane.
The House will be in order. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from South Carolina seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to a question of the privileges of the House and offer the resolution that was previously noticed.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 713, whereas Charlie Kirk was a lifelong advocate for freedom of speech, civil political discourse, and the political engagement of youth, whereas Charlie Kirk was a man of deep faith, a husband, and a father of 2 young children, whereas on September 10, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the campus of Utah Valley University while exercising his First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Whereas on September 11, 2025, one day after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar gave an interview on a Zateo town hall with Mehdi Hassan in which she smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder, whereas on
there is no implied. Let me be clear. Charlie Kirk is directly responsible for his own murder based on the things that Charlie Kirk said and espoused in his involvement in spreading the propaganda, misinformation, and lies that perpetuated these myths and these derogatory, discriminatory comments against minority groups, transgender groups, blaming violence on, well, liberals and leftists, and stating in their own words that the deaths of children is a small price to pay for the Second Amendment. So there's nothing allegedly about it. There is no implication about it. It is fact. This is what Charlie Kirk said and did, and is therefore responsible for his own death.
On September 12, 2025, 2 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar reposted a video on X, formerly known as Twitter, which disparaged the character of Charlie Kirk and those mourning his death. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X states, "Charlie Kirk is dead," and before the body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cardinal for their holy war. Whereas
which is exactly what they did and what they continue to do. They are literally using Charlie Kirk's death and people's responses to that death to fire people, to censor people, to literally push agenda and policies. The grift is ridiculous. And immediately after his death, there have been 2 lynchings in Mississippi. So, yes, that is once again factually correct.
Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, "Don't be fooled. These people don't give a single shit about Charlie Kirk. They are just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda." Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, "Charlie Kirk was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying on weak-minded people. He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers at outgroups, demonizing those groups, and seeking his massive following on them."
Which is, again, what he did. And there is evidence that what he did actually resulted in the attacks of people that he threatened and doxed through his own fucking website. His actions directly led to harm being conducted against professors, left-wing speakers, and commentators and creators, right? Like, his actions had direct consequences, measurable consequences. And that's, and this bitch reading, I don't know who the fuck she is, but she is literally being used as a scapegoat. Sure, it's being read into the official record for Congress, which means when I'm in Congress, I can pull that record and be like, so now that it's been 2 years, we can agree that everything that she said was in a derogatory fashion was in fact the truth, right? We can agree on this? Or are you going to libel me next? Are you going to defame me next? Are you going to threaten me next? Are you going to try and censor me, a white male veteran who's also dog tag say Catholic? Are you going to try and silence me too for standing up against this terrorist regime, which is engaging in terrorism? Because definitively, terrorism is actions of a group against a population, usually in the form of violence, but not limited to violence, to pursue a political agenda. I don't know what martial law and secret policing and kidnapping and trafficking people and censoring people and getting people doxxed and thrown out and threatening citizens for exercising their rights could be defined as other than acts of terrorism. So go ahead. Like, my time in Congress is going to be biblical. It's going to be biblical, folks, because I am going to fight them all. These hands are rated E for everyone. And I look forward to exercising those rights and utilizing these hands against everyone who stands in my way. Unfucking believable. Nancy Mace, she looks like a villain, but not a cool one. It do be like that. Even if we go by the evidence presented by this regime against the alleged shooter, it was Charlie's hatred that prompted his demise. Not only that, the shooter said Charlie was not hateful enough. The shooter said Charlie was hateful, but not hateful enough. He had a list of professors to be targeted, and I'm sure there were other lists out there. It's insane that by pointing that out, people can get bothered, but not by the fact that there is a list that you say he had. Right, no. Pointing out the truth is what gets you in trouble, but the facts themselves are just blatantly ignored. Brazenly ignored.
Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a stochastic terrorist, an adamant transphobe. He denied...
Okay. They keep using stochastic terrorist. Okay, so... stochastic terrorist. Oh, great. Wikipedia. Outstanding. All right. Gonna add that to my stream links tab. All right. Stochastic terrorism, and quote from Wikipedia, is a form of violence instigated by hostile public rhetoric directed at a group or an individual. Unlike incitement to terrorism, stochastic terrorism is accomplished with indirect, vague, or coded language, which grants the instigator plausible deniability for any associated violence, which the president is engaging in as well. Now, incitement to terrorism. That's the next one. Incitement to terrorism is a category in some national legal systems which may criminalize direct encouragement of acts of violence or praise of prescribed terrorist organizations, i.e., this administration praising ICE terrorizing Latinos, Republicans praising ICE terrorizing Latinos, rounding up Latinos without due process, and then trafficking them to other parts of the country or even the fucking world. This, definitively is exactly the forms of terrorism that they are committing. Now, terrorism definition from the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary: the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. And then in the FBI, domestic terrorism, violent criminal acts committed by individuals or groups to further ideological goals stemming from domestic influence, such as those of a political, religious, social, racial, or environmental nature. So, okay, they are usually described as violent acts. Well, guess what? Sicking the National Guard and your own secret police into the cities and brutally arresting random innocent people for being brown is a violent criminal act committed by a group to further the ideological goals stemming from domestic influences such as political, religious, social, racial, or environmental in nature. By the FBI's own definition, this regime is committing acts of terror against people in our own fucking country.
The genocide happening in Palestine, he believed in the subjugation of women, and in his last dying words, he was spewing racist dog whistles. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein and his monster shot him through the neck. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further blames Charlie Kirk for his own murder. Whereas Clause 1 of Rule 23 of the Rules of the House of Representatives provides a member, delegate, resident commissioner, officer, or employee of the House shall behave at all times in a manner that shall reflect credibly on the House. And whereas Representative Ilhan Omar's action...
Hold the fuck up.
...for his own murder. Whereas Clause 1 of Rule 23 of the Rules of the House of Representatives provides a member, delegate, resident commissioner, officer, or employee of the House shall behave at all times in a manner that shall reflect credibly on the House. And whereas Representative Ilhan Omar's actions in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk are reprehensible and affect the dignity and integrity of the proceedings of the House and do not reflect credibly on the House, now therefore be...
What do you mean they don't reflect credibly on the House? She's one of the very few Congress people calling out fascism and discrimination for what it fucking is. That's the most credible thing she could be doing. If anything is showing not credibly to the House, would be the pursuit of fascism, passing the bill that guts Social Security and Medicare. Any of the attempts to canonize and glorify Charlie Kirk for anything other than the white supremacist that he was. Like, what the fuck do you mean that Ian Omar was in some way, form, or fashion not representing herself as a member of Congress when this Congress is aiding and abetting a fascist regime?
Be it resolved that 1. Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. 2. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. 3. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. And 4. Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on the Budget of the House.
The resolution qualifies.
And who decides that the resolution qualifies? Also, that racist white lady who was like, I want to bring up the resolution to go against one of the few brown women in Congress and try and crucify her for not supporting our glorious leader's favorite YouTuber. What a fucking shit show this is.
Purpose does the gentlewoman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
I have a motion at the desk, Mr.
The clerk
Speaker.
will report the motion.
Ms. Clark of Massachusetts moves to lay the resolution on the table.
The question is on the motion offered by the gentlewoman from Massachusetts. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I request a call.
In the opinion of the Speaker, the noes have it because the noes were mildly louder? That is the most arbitrary... One person could have said no, and you'd be like, oh, according to me... Listen to this.
Motion.
Ms. Clark of Massachusetts moves to lay the resolution on the table.
The question is on the motion offered by the gentlewoman from Massachusetts. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
The opinion of the chair. There is no quantitative measurement at all. There's no, well, according to how many people literally just voted no, literally one person could have said no. One person could have said no, and this motherfucker could have apparently said, in the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Are you fucking kidding me? I am walking into Congress with a fucking rifle when I am elected. And I'm just going to sit there in my chair like this. With a cigar like this. And when this shit happens in Congress, I'm going to keep the cigar, and I'm going to do this. Because, like, are you fucking kidding me right now? It's who's louder. It's that I don't even know if that, again, it's arbitrary. It's the opinion of the chair. So again, the preponderance of the decision, of the evidence, of the whatever is in his personal fucking opinion.
Mr. Speaker, I request a call of the yeas and nays.
Christ almighty.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by an electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
They must stop giving conservatives this free gold Trump survivor coin.
Starting this month, the 1776 MAGA Resurgence Initiative is taking the nation by storm, rewarding true American patriots with a solid gold Trump survivor coin for free. The libs have been absolutely losing their minds over this.
That can't be true. There is no fucking way that you can get a free gold, solid gold. There is no fucking way they're just giving out gold coins. Because the price of gold per troy ounce is like $2,000 or $3,000. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. It is several thousand. I know that. And they're going to give you a coin that's going to be worth hundreds of dollars for free? Ain't no fucking way. Yeah, it's a scam. It's got to be a scam. But one that somebody paid for. Well, give us $50 and you get your free fucking coin. You can stop watching. It fails. Well, I want to see it fucking fail. So, oh wait, where does it? Is it all the way here? So to table. It looks like 5 holdouts.
On the yeas are 214 and the nays are 213. The motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Eat shit, motherfucker! Eat shit! Eat shit and fucking die. Actually, no. Don't die. Eat shit, live a long, healthy life to where when I finally sit in this Oval Office, I can put you on fucking trial and can watch your soul leave your fucking body as I condemn you to the fiery pits of hell when you are found guilty of treason, guilty of crimes against democracy, guilty of racism and discrimination, violating the 1st, 4th, and 14th Amendments. I cannot fucking wait to send you and all of your fucking friends straight to hell. And quite frankly, it fills me with so much joy, so much optimism for the future that I will actually be in a position to end your miserable existence. Let's watch that again, folks. Let's watch that again. This piece of shit had to choke on it. Listen to his voice. And mind you, he was like, in my opinion, the motion fails. The nays have it. Fuck you, Elon Omar, right? He was with his whole chest about to just end Ian's career, right? Now listen to this motherfucker eat his fucking pile of crow.
The nays are 214 and the nays are 213. The motion is adopted. The nays are 213. The motion is adopted. And the nays are 213.
Listen to that pause, folks. Listen to that pause.
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 213. The motion is adopted.
Fuck you, motherfucker. That's exactly what you get, you racist fucking piece of shit. And this blonde bitch who fucking initiated it in the first place. Fuck. Oh, she's a brunette. I'm sorry. I don't want to discriminate against blondes. I do want to discriminate against this bitch. She is going to be right next to him. That guy's going to get sent to hell, and she's going to be right next to him.
To a question
next
of the
in line.
privileges of the House and offer the resolution that was previously noticed.
The clerk will report the resolution.
Racist fucking Karen. Nancy Mace, racist fucking Nancy. Ungoddamn believable the shit we are dealing with in this country. Anna. Timestamp. 2 hours and probably 13 minutes. It's free plus $100 shipping and handling. Right. Gold coin make libs mad. Right. Because honestly, if it was a free gold coin, libs would be jumping on that and selling them to fuel the fucking revolution. Because I know I fucking would. They do this with a lot of stuff. They say, oh, this made libs mad today. Like, they enjoy it. No, because that's their call to action. It made libs angry. But see, when leftists say, oh, it makes conservatives mad, we're like, and? They should be silenced. They should be deplatformed. They should be whatever else. But we don't give a fuck that they're mad. We just don't. No martyrs anymore. Have people yell out yays or nays on his death penalty. Huh! And honestly, I that's such a good one. All right. That's worth the prop right here. All right. So this is how I want this to happen. When the death penalty is affirmed, that sentencing is what's going to be carried out, I want to address the gathered masses. All those opposed, and I want somebody with like a big card, to say cheer, right? To say opposed, nay, say nay out loud. So there's a shit ton of nays, right? Just a shit ton of nays. And then all those for the death penalty. I just want everybody else to be silent. And then, Anna, I want you to look that motherfucker in his eyes, and in your just most deadpan voice or enthusiastic voice that you can muster, look him in the eyes and say, I. And then I'll be able to say, I'll look into the cameras and I'll be like, it is in the opinion of the chair that the yays have it. And then bang. That would be such poetic justice for that piece of shit in particular. Like, the cockiness of, it's in my opinion that the nays have it. Ha 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 ha. Ian Omar is going to get censured. Ha 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 ha. I'm going to do the same thing to you, motherfucker. And I'm going to make sure it is a brown Latina that's 5'4", and her tiny, squeaky little voice is the one that's going to condemn you straight to hell. Because I know that'll make you just clench and roll over and all these other things. He's getting censored permanently. We'll do the same thing for Nancy Mace, though. Like, honestly, I don't know how petty I'm going to be during those proceedings, but I'm going to be very petty, and I'm going to need everybody's help on maximizing the comedic effect of the pettiness. All right, let's talk about Ben Cohen.
It's really sad that
co-founder of Ben & Jerry's is quitting Ben & Jerry's because the company itself is capitulating why an ice cream company is capitulating to fascism in the first place is beyond me, but I'll let him say it.
Jerry is resigning. I'm glad that we're both standing up for the values of Ben & Jerry's. I think that I can be most helpful from the inside, and Jerry's going to try to be helpful from the outside. This conflict with Unilever was really kind of tearing them apart.
Is there a Ben & Jerry's without Jerry?
The spirit of Jerry will always be at Ben & Jerry's. There's been good times, there's been bad times, there's been challenging times, and we've been through them all together, Jerry and myself, and
yep.
It's just built a stronger bond between us.
Okay, so it was Jerry who left, not Ben. How video games, Discord, and deep web influenced alleged. I like how we're scraping the bottom of the barrel of making this murderer be anything other than what he is. A right-wing extremist. That's what he is. He's a right-wing extremist influenced by right-wing propaganda. Video games, Discord, and the deep web has absolutely fucking nothing to do with it. Because you want to know something? I don't play first-person shooter games. I don't play first-person shooter MMO type games. I don't play first-person shooters because I suck at them. I loved Halo. I loved that series. I loved the story of Halo, but I wasn't legendary on it by no stretch of the imagination. And the actions that I want to enact as president, are within the means of my presidential authority in the emergency powers that would be necessary due to how absolutely fucked our country would be upon the assumption of office. Like that, I'm not going to charge these people for crimes against democracy and humanity and war crimes and murder and this, that, and the other because I played World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV and Civ 2 and Civ 3 or Command and Conquer Red Alert 2. Like, I'm not doing these things because I like Warhammer 40k. I'm not doing these things because I play Dungeons and Dragons on occasion. I'm not doing these things because I've watched isekai anime and I want to conquer the Dark Lord or become the Demon Lord, right? I'm not doing any of those things. I've played Dark Souls, and it has nothing to do with my political beliefs whatsoever. These people are monsters who have committed the most monstrous crimes imaginable. And national law, our federal law, our Constitution, demands a certain amount of accountability. Retribution, dare I say. And the ramifications and consequences of committing those crimes, in many cases, just so happens to include the death penalty. And because I am a believer politically in the death penalty, because historically the death penalty has silenced dangerous individuals, both political and literal, like, murderers and shit, right? So for me, the death penalty is to ensure that these monsters who have committed monstrous crimes never have the opportunity to influence anyone ever again. Not from a prison cell, not from docuseries sometime in the future, not from some sort of sanitation effect or effort, or some sort of acquittal process, or any of that nonsense. They are going to be put 6 feet underground so that their legacy, their actions, will be held responsible for the severity of their actions and crimes that they committed. And to be a stark warning and a fierce rebuke to anyone who would ever have the audacity to follow in their footsteps in the future. Yes, a threat and a warning, but also a legal necessity for the future democracy of the United States of America. Has nothing to do with my personal interests. I play Guitar Hero. I get booed by the thing. I get mad at my guitar. I don't go shooting people, and I don't go blaming transgender folks or black people or women because I lost at Guitar Hero. I don't blame black people for losing in Dark Souls. I don't blame, liberals because the Demon Lord was defeated. Like, I don't even know how you could even correlate some of these things to video games or social media or any of like, you're reaching. You're reaching so fucking hard. You're scraping at the lowest barrel possible to try and justify or paint that these actions were anything other than what they were. Hate-driven, white supremacy, ethno-Christian, fascist in nature. That's what they were. That is what they are. And you know what? We keep losing viewers every time I talk about the truth. You know what? Fuck you too. You're part of the problem. You're not part of the problem enough to warrant getting charges, but like, you need deprogramming. Here's the thing, and I'm going to say the most arrogant thing that any creator and any politician could ever say. If you disagree with me, you are wrong. You are on the wrong side of history, and you are a victim of propaganda. Not sorry. And the deprogramming that you will have to undergo just to be a functioning member of society again is going to be massive, unfortunately. And it's not because I am right and that my ideas are the only ideas that can succeed, but because I am on the right side of history, conveying the words of the experts, conveying the actions of the experts, and the people who are saying the things that need to be said. I am at best repeating somebody else's words and life experience to you, informing you that Israel is committing genocide. The United Nations confirms it, and 30 genocide watchdog organizations confirm it as well. Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist and established the effective Hitler Youth Program in America. And I'm not the only one saying that. White supremacist organizations, watchdogs organizations are saying that. Other white supremacists are saying that because they didn't think he was right-wing enough. Okay? I am not saying any original thoughts. Maybe Ronanism is a bit of an original thought. In my economic policy and style of leadership might be unique to me. You can disagree with that all you want. I don't give a shit. But the news, the facts, the correspondence that I am sharing on this channel and pushing out from this channel, whether that's Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or whatever else, that's not debatable. That you go ahead and debate that the sky is blue. Debate that gravity exists. You know what? Go jump off of a building and prove me wrong. Go ahead and prove me wrong that gravity doesn't exist by jumping off of a building. And then prove to me that the earth is flat by going to any beach on the planet and showing me Mount Everest. Any beach on the planet, you should be able to see Mount Everest. Clear as fucking day. Right, and the reason why you can't is because that's not true, right? Like, we're not on a flat earth. Gravity is real, right? So my point is, Israel is committing genocide. Zionists have infiltrated our government and seemingly many other Western governments as well. Zionism in the state of Israel needs to be dismantled and go through Nuremberg tribunals. This administration is committing acts of terror against its own citizenry and foreign visitors, foreign nationals who are working here, and committing war crimes off the coast of Venezuela and probably other places besides. These aren't up for debate. This isn't a discussion. I am not sharing this with you to have a dialogue. I am telling you this is happening. I am showing you it's happening. I am informing you all that this is the reality that we are living in, and I'm encouraging you to do something about it. So, if you disagree with me, you're wrong, right? This shirt is camo green. This hat is red and black. That is the American flag. Arguing against it is not an argument. You are wrong. What is the famous quote? Facts don't care about your feelings. So, let's see. They've been together for like 40 years. I don't even remember what that was about now. I see. Oh, Jerry. Ben and Jerry. Gotcha. Yep. What are we doing for Charlie Kirk Day? Are we putting steaks on the grill? I think we should have blood sausages. And I think we should put stuffing and turkey necks. We could also do pumpkin carvings where the pumpkins have really small faces on them. There's any number of things that we could do to celebrate, I think. His parents think that he was left-wing because he is pro-LGBT rights since he's bisexual and his partner roommate is trans. That doesn't really make someone left-wing. That, honestly, there are quite a few fascists and quite a few white supremacists who are gay and transgender. Being gay or transgender doesn't make you a good person, or left-leaning for that matter. And many of these people are closeted to boot. Like, many of these people are racist and will still suck black dick. Doesn't change the fact that they're racist scum. Maybe it was Jerry who got rid of basic chocolate, the fascists. I'll make the Bloody Marys with a little drip of tomato juice on the side. Nick Fuentes is closeted gay. Andrew Tate is very in denial closeted gay. J.D. Vance is probably gay. Kash Patel is probably gay. Lindsey Graham is confirmed gay. Like, most of these right-wing sociopaths are closeted in denial gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay, but it's their own sexual repression that causes them to lose their fucking minds. Which, again, doesn't need to be our problem. And their actions should still have the consequences that they deserve. Oh, you're gay? Great. Well, you still tried to pass fascist agendas and committed crimes against democracy, so you're still going to be executed. Would you like a handsome man to do the execution? I can throw you that bone. There's a rumor that there's a video of Nick Fuentes and Destiny doing the dirty, which would make a lot of sense, because Destiny is also... What, isn't Destiny a pedophile? Like... And no, actually, you know what I've noticed? That Destiny fangirl hasn't been on our channel in a very long time. So, I guess they learned that fucking lesson. All right. Well, didn't we already cover that they designated Antifa? Well, we didn't cover it. Democracy Now! Covered it. So... What's this? Called to Congress over Steam. Oh, yeah, they're trying to vilify Steam, the video game platform.
If you have a passion to achieve more for yourself,
Jesus Christ.
You're firing up Steam for your next game session, but Congress says your go-to platform might be helping spread dangerous ideas.
Okay, real talk. I think we gotta do... It's not a video file. Is it a scene? No. Background, third. Hold on. Game? All right, hold on. I'm going to open Steam real quick and see if it lets me select the application of Steam. Because they're trying to claim that Steam is perpetuating left-wing ideology. That it is perpetuating liberalism or whatever else. And that it is a threat to society because of that. And I am going to show you, which I hope it doesn't get me banned, or... Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do what I'm about to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right, so I just need to find the source, but we don't want application audio. I don't have a game. Desktop, Steam. All right. So here we have Steam. All right. Okay. Hey, this is my games. Sephiroth, feel free to add me. I think it's like Sephiroth 4268. But if you go to the store... Oh, because it's the window. I see. All right. If you go to the store and you search for, I don't know, Hitler. I did. Do you see what pops up? 106 results. I've already blocked 20. And then there's like free versions of the game. Right? If you type in Hitler, there are 106 Hitler games. MAGA. Doesn't get you anything. Well, that's good at least. Trump. Look at this. 171 games solely integrating Trump. Putin run away from Trump. Super POTUS Trump. I thought I saw something about SCOTUS. Maybe not. Crackpot Despot. Hey, that's possibly one that's left-leaning. Lawnmower game, find Trump, right? Most of this shit is pro-Trump in nature, right? Pro-Hitler in nature, right? Well, there's furry and hentai shit and all that stuff too on Steam, which is again has very little to do with leftists. It has to do with sexual expression, right? But if you put in Antifa, I don't think that finds anything. What the fuck? Antifa. 2. Smash MAGA, Trump Zombie Apocalypse, Twilight of Empire, Zaptim Rats. It doesn't even have Antifa in it. Right? Communism. Let's see if that's in there. So, I showed Trump and I showed Hitler. And there were over almost 300 games with just those two searches. Communism has 45. And one of those is a soundtrack. And some of it even has to do with the Cold War. And then it doesn't even have anything to do with communism anymore. Okay? Let's try socialism. There are oh wow, okay. That's interesting. There are 3,500 socialism searches. But it's including games like Grand Theft Auto, Ready or Not, RimWorld, Celestial Empire Prologue, Forza Horizon 5? Where does socialism even fall into that? Like that, yeah, where's the relevance? So if we're talking about true socialism, there are 4 things. One of which is a fucking soundtrack. Everything else are just games. So, Steam has about as much to do with left-leaning ideology than any other platform. If anything, it promotes right-wing ideology, because if you type in police, right, police simulator, there are 2,500 results. Green police, pets police, necro police, police monument, police demolition. And a lot of these show you as a police officer murdering people. Contraband police, I think, is one of them. Police simulators, I believe, another one. And look, these are all police in the name. Police shootout, prologue. If we go 3 down, it still has police simulator, heroes, profanity police, star play. Like these are right-wing games. And there's 2,500 of them. So now we're up to 2,800 titles having to do with right-wing ideology outright. Let's do ICE. Okay, not a good example, because apparently that doesn't... Let's do immigration. Papers, Please, which I am guaranteeing is a racist rhetoric type game. And then nothing else, right? What was another thought? Well, military doesn't count in the sense that the World War II games and Call of Duty and shit like that. Oh. Okay. Well, thank God lynching wasn't actually one of them. That would have been very deeply disturbing. Kane and Lynch are names in the title. Okay, so good. There isn't that, thank fucking God. Racism? I don't know. Ooh, I don't want to type that out there. Okay, terrorism. So you got counterstrike and counterterrorism. So yeah. But again, just to prove the point that for all intents and purposes, Steam is definitely not a left-leaning platform. Oh shit, I should have done Che, but I just got back from flying my pride flag at that Charlie whatever his name is vigil. Let him know Colorado don't fear no king. Fuck yes, Steve. Hell yes. What does any of that have to do with socialism? Right. Let them know they were in a pro-LGBT state. As it is. I mean, Colorado is deeply blue. So, anyway, we got 20 minutes left. Let's see how they're trying to convey that Steam has anything to do with... Oh, I got to get rid of that window.
That's what's happening right now with a surprise call out to Gabe Newell, the big boss of Steam and Valve, and it all stems from a heartbreaking murder. Today, just a few minutes ago,
is this fucking creator a pro Kirk guy? Where do these fucking idiots come from? God damn it.
Site chairman James Comer sent an invite to Gabe Newell and a few other tech bosses from places like Discord, Twitch, and Reddit to come talk at a meeting on October 8th, 2025, which is in less than 1 month. This all started with some sad news.
So this guy isn't
September
actually
10th,
talking.
2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Streams and Reddit for groups specifically on the issues of child safety that are posed by the members. If this meeting happens and Congress pushes harder, Steam, on one hand, it could stop real violence by cleaning up Steam's forums, as nobody...
Dude! What? Oh, did he say forums? Because that is a different story. That is a different story.
That could technically make forums safer with no more crazy trolls, but it might also mean less freedom to talk, like cracking down on arguments in game discussions.
Yeah, no, okay. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and argue that the forums on Steam, the discussions on Steam, aren't or can't be deeply discriminatory, derogatory, and racist. People on the internet that hide behind, 1420 and 88 and all this other shit, they do talk a lot of fucking mess. They 100% do. They will downvote games that are outright amazing. Horizon Zero Dawn was downvoted by insecure incel right-wing fucking idiots because girl was main character hurt feeling. And that was like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of comments and discussions and forums for that game and many others, right? If you go on Nier Automata, it is just basically gooning 24/7. Same thing with Bayonetta. Same thing with Tomb Raider and Samus as well. So it's like the forums, granted, they get out of hand, but those aren't left-wing commentators. Those are right-wing commentators that are usually pretty fucking disgusting.
On one hand, it could stop real violence by cleaning up Steam's forums, as nobody wants that kind of trouble, but on the other hand, it might feel like the government is sticking their nose where it doesn't belong, telling a private company like Valve what to do. Worst case...
Well, I'm gonna stop you there too, because if there is anything that the government is 100% allowed to do, that is to tell every private company, every private institution, every corporation, business, and articled, incorporated, whatever, to include nonprofits. The government not only has the right to tell them what to do, but should. In every circumstance where there is a question of whether or not the government should get involved, the answer is yes. 1,000 times yes. And the fact that corporations have legal personhood in the United States of America is part of the reason why we have the problems that we do in this country. Capitalism needs to be purged. Let me say that again with emphasis. Capitalism must and shall be purged in the United States of America with my administration, that administration right there, I will purge capitalism from our lands. And I will make absolutely fucking sure it can never, ever take root in the United States of America ever again. So, the government absolutely can and should regulate and interfere with any and every industry within its borders and within its jurisdiction. Now, ownership should always belong to the people. And the consent of the people should be what drives government regulation and interference in industry. That's Ronanism. That is the line where it gets drawn. The government should be able to regulate by the consent of the people. So, this fucking guy is
it could lead to some extreme censorship where normal chats like joking about a game get shut down. There's also the risk of AI-based moderation going too far and incorrectly
and then the AI.
chats
Can't
that are
forget
just
that.
a part of gaming culture. For example, take Gabe Newell's most recent speech where even he would get trash-talked in video games.
Sure, people talk shit at me in chat, and about once a week people say, hey, noob, uninstall the game and but that's really about their enthusiasm for the game and the energy that they bring.
So could we see Steam get forced into more censorship
Sounds
going
like
after
it.
community content like groups, discussions, and private messages? We also can't forget that multiple US senators have actually talked about this issue and how it appears like many of the community features on Steam host extremist content. If Gabe goes to this meeting, he'll probably talk about what Steam's already doing, like how they moderate forums to catch bad stuff. Right now, Steam's rules ban things like harassment, threats of violence, and content that encourages real-world violence. They also have a system—
Well, evidently not, because we saw 2,500 titles involving police. So, and 100 with Hitler and 171 to do with Trump. So,
for users to report
you need to do a bit better
inappropriate
job.
content in game hubs, forums, and reviews. However, the Oversight Committee thinks that this is not enough to prevent radicalization in private group chats and other less visible areas of the platform. Right now,
yeah,
these
but the thing is, you're only trying to talk about left-wing radicalization. You know what left-wing radicalization looks like? Okay, to be fair, but most of the time, left-wing radicalization looks like a bunch of nerds planting trees, cleaning up parks, going to town hall meetings and demanding changes, right? Demanding more funding for schools and libraries and this, that, and the other. Left-wing extremism very rarely looks like this, okay? Very rarely does it look like that. But when left-wing extremism does look like this, it's usually in the form of this: anti-fascism, rising up against oppression, rising up against tyranny, overthrowing a corrupt government, defending the innocent against a secret police force, the military, or just regular police from brutally attacking the citizenry. So, when radicalization of leftists occur, 99% of the time, it's doing public services. It is volunteering. It's social work. It's wellness. It's feeding and clothing the hungry and the homeless, the unhoused. So, the radicalization that actually results in violence, like murdering a podcaster or a YouTuber, is 99% of the time, 99.999% of the time, from the right wing. I believe the statistic is that right wing would, I guess it wasn't 99, it was like 78%, right? Or it was, of all active shootings that occurred, now I forget the graphic. If somebody could link the graphic to me, I'll pull it up. Can I be your Secretary of Defense? Well, here's the joke, right? You can't be any worse than Pete Hegseth. You literally can't. I don't know you. I have no idea who you are, what you look like. I don't know anything about your ideology, except that you do tend to agree with me, and that you probably share similar ideology. If that's the baseline of not being a fascist scumbag and actually caring about other human beings and their well-being and arguably your country, if that's the fucking bar, then yes. Are you a veteran or anything? Did you serve in the military at least? Secretary of Peace. See, I like where your head's at. But yeah, just it would be extremely difficult to find somebody less qualified than this current cabinet. I cannot recommend Water CS2 to anybody. I don't feel like this guy's on the right side of history. The DOJ, right? And then the DOJ deletes the report on far-right violence. Of course it does. Let's have a little bit of
one
levity.
platform, any
Let's
website.
watch
Unlimited
ye olde
creation.
England.
So this is the
protest against
counterpoint
Trump.
to the flattery and the pomp that we're seeing in Windsor. There are no royal carriages here. There are no military parades, no bank.
We never got to see whose poetry slam in the Oval Office. What? I don't understand that reference.
This is a very different England. This England is largely left-wing, though not exclusively. It's an England of environmentalists, of human rights organisations, of trade unions.
What are you talking about? This England literally charged peace activists with terrorism. Retroactively. So in what fucking universe is England left-leaning? Pete Hegseth tried doing slam poetry? I am so confused right now. Oh. You're saying... Okay. Hold up. There's a video of that right now on our... The fuck? How did I scroll over that, for one? Holy shit, we didn't even get to... Oh my god.
We have a tragic but important update from a story we shared that resonated with a lot of you. The story of Nori Santay Ramos, a California honor student and star athlete who was deported with her mom without any warning and without really anything. On Monday, September 8th, her mom, Estela, passed away in Guatemala 2 months after she and her daughter were forced out of the country after attending a routine immigration check-in. She was only 45 years old. There are no words, really.
How the fuck does she get
Estela
killed?
meant everything to Nori.
In Guatemala?
At her funeral, 18-year-old Nori rested her head on her mom's casket, which they draped with 2 flags.
Or how
one
did
with the
she
country
die?
they considered home, and the other the one they were sent back to. And all Estela ever wanted to do was give her daughter a better life.
sentir mal que usted kuna pues regela más tranquila y en coche estudio caché y más tranquila en coli que en estudio y la área también tranquila pero allí con tu salida que
She decided to flee Guatemala almost a decade ago after she nearly fell victim to gang violence right in front of her young daughter's eyes.
So she probably was killed. It doesn't seem like they are going to talk about that, though. This is exactly why we need to fight. I mean, literally, this is like every death, whether it happens in the United States or abroad, but due to immigration and deportation, otherwise known as trafficking in this country, all of those deaths need to be laid at the feet of this administration and the people that are responsible for carrying it out. So, Estela Ramos Batan, I truly hope you rest in peace. You will be avenged. That is the only comfort I can offer you. I don't see the slam poetry. Yeah, I didn't want to make you cry, and I didn't want to end on a bad note, but I mean, what else can we do here, right? Alright, hold on. Okay, so we'll do this and mock the shit out of him, and then we'll watch the banana thing.
After winning a war for independence in 1789, George Washington established the War Department, and Henry Knox was his first Secretary of War. And this country won every major war after that, to include World War I and World War II. Total victory, Mr. President.
We did not win every war after that. I think we did a whole fucking lot of losing, actually. And especially in the past century, we did a whole lot of losing.
As you said. Then 150 years after that, we changed the name after World War II from the Department.
See, going toe-to-toe with 10,000 Nazis that were there to praise another Nazi, that's exactly the kind of energy we fucking need in just generally, but that's definitely the kind of person I'm looking for the campaign. If you have Facebook, or if you want to message Anna, we will absolutely get you involved in our campaign if you're interested and you have the time to commit to it, because that is the kind of energy we want.
Department of War to the Department of Defense in 1947. And as you pointed out, Mr. President, we haven't won a major war since, and that's not to disparage our warfighters, whether it's the Korean War, or the Vietnam War, or our generation of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's to recognize...
So he fucking admits that we didn't win those wars. What the flying fuck? He admits that we lost those wars, but was 2 seconds ago saying how we've won every single war since. Like, again, Simply Steve, you cannot be worse than this guy.
That this name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos. Restoring victory and clarity as an end state.
Warrior ethos from a draft dodger.
Restoring intentionality to the use of force. So, at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not...
I thought he was going to do slam poetry. This isn't slam poetry. That's him fluffing up Trump on national television. Right here at this very moment he starts.
Not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defense.
Oh. Yeah, that was really bad. He's just trying to rhyme shit now. And that wasn't nearly cringy enough, though, to mock relentlessly, honestly. That was just... Why? Why would you even do that? Just dumb.
Before we talk Abbott Big Ten blood drive ideas...
So we're going to try and wrap up with one story that's just objectively good. That's just objectively good news.
The fibrous stem of the banana plant is usually thrown away. But in Taiwan, some entrepreneurs sense an appealing opportunity. They believe the discards could be turned into a textile.
Banana fiber actually performs better than regular cotton in terms of water consumption, absorbency, and supply stability, making it highly promising for future applications.
The banana plants are brought to the factory. There, they get crushed and pressed, and are sterilized and fermented. Then dried out and ground into fibers. Some of this will be turned into a yarn that can be blended with cotton to make socks. It can also be turned into a kind of vegan substitute for leather. Producers here say their ultimate ambition is to make footwear without using any synthetic materials.
What we hope to achieve in the future is a fully natural shoe, where every part of the shoe is made from natural materials, because with this kind of shoe, when it's buried, it will completely break down into glucose and become nutrients for plants. That's our ultimate goal.
And we're gonna stop it right there. Congratulations! We were finally fucking able to talk about something that was just nice. Just interesting. And it was political in the sense that it was a green initiative. We finally got to talk about something that was just good. Nice. Beneficial to the environment and to the just society. So, on that note, we have made it through another week of world ridiculous crazy shit. We recapped a bunch of stuff that we missed. We covered a whole lot of horrible topics. And if you missed it, please feel free to watch the VOD or go to our YouTube channel. But yeah, I'm glad we finally got to end on just a reasonable topic. This is what this channel should be about. Not the flammen, not the props. It should just be about, let's talk about the future and what we can do and big brain to make things better and nicer for everybody. But instead, it's fascism, racism, ludicrous fascism, and then more racism, right? So I'm really happy that we got to do something simply innocent. On that note, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the stream. For those of you that are new to the stream, we stream Tuesdays through Thursdays, 7 to 10 Eastern. On Tuesdays, we talk about U.S. affairs. On Wednesdays, we talk about world affairs. And on Thursdays, we try and catch up on anything that we may have missed. And sometimes we even get to talk about something fun, like UFO conspiracy theories. So, please join us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a fantastic weekend and rest of your night. Your President, Samuel Ronan, out.